What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Patrick here. Moving on to the next question. We have to determine an equation for a circle that has a diameter with these endpoints, 5, -4, -5, and 4. Now, first thing I want to mention in this case is that if you're dealing with a circle and you have a diameter, right? So these are like the endpoints, let's say, of a diameter. Well, no matter where the diameter is, whether it's over here or whether it's here, the center or the midpoint of the diameter line is going to be the center of the circle. And so that's the first thing you want to figure out, is that if you're given endpoints, what's the center of the circle going to be? And in this case, it's going to be 0 and 0. Because that's the type of circles we're dealing with so far. We're dealing with circles that are centered at the origin. But we're also in future videos going to be dealing with circles that are not centered at the origin. All right, so in this case, we've been dealing with circles centered at the origin, so they have this kind of format. And this is going to be one of those cases, because if you take these endpoints and you find the midpoint, what's the midpoint formula? Well, it's x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So if we let this be x1, y1, this be x2, y2, notice what's going to happen. We're going to have 5 plus -5 divided by 2, and then we're going to have -4 plus 4 divided by 2. Notice we're going to get 0 in both of those numerators. 0 divided by 2 is just 0. So that's the center of the circle. So we know it's going to be in this format over here. But you may get a question, depending on if your teacher is covering circles that don't have a center at the origin, you may get a different midpoint. And then you're going to have to adjust this left side of the equation of a circle, and we're going to go through that in future videos. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. But in this particular case, the midpoint is 0 and 0, which is the center of the circle. So it's nice. We know that our equation is going to be in that format. And so in this case, as we've done before, if you're given a coordinate on the circle, which both of these coordinates are on the circle, you just have to plug them in for x and y and then find out what that right side r squared should be. So you could plug in either of these. They're going to give you the same thing. So let's plug in the first one. So this is going to be 25. This is going to be positive 16. And then we're going to end up having what? 41? Like that. So that ends up being r squared. And so the equation of this circle ends up just being that, right? You don't want to square root this. That would give you the radius. But when you're making an equation for a circle, remember that right side is r squared, not just the radius by itself. If they ask for the radius, then you can square root this, get the square root of 41. But for the equation, you're plugging in that whole r squared value, which in this case is 41. And so that's the answer to this question. That ends up being the circle if you want to show it visually. So 5, -4, let's say that's like down here. And then -5, +4, let's say that's like over here. So if we join these, it's going to go through the origin. That's going to be the midpoint of the circle. And then if we draw the circle, it's going to look something like that, right? So that's the diameter that we were working with. And then that there is the equation.